out of the ordinary insights. Brought to you by Investec Specialist Bank.
A very good evening. Welcome to Captains of Industry, coming to you from Investec's head office in Johannesburg. Joining me this evening is Stephen Koseff, the CEO of Investec. I'm joined by Tshidi, the Chairman of Advisory, KPMG South Africa. Shameel, Joosub, the CEO of Vodacom, and Ivan Epstein, co-founder and CEO of the Softline Group, now known as Sage. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Stephen, let's kick off. Why did you study accounting?
I didn't know what else to do, but my father was an accountant. He'd been in practice for many years, and I suppose as I finished school, I was destined to go to accountancy and join his firm.
So did your father strong-arm you into studying accounting?
No, before I went to the army, in those days you had to go to the army, I worked for his firm for a few months, and I suppose I was just set on that kind of path. But I didn't really think about it. That's the only thing I thought I could study. I wasn't so academic at school, and in those days, you know, if you were very academic, you went and did medicine, and if you were sort of just a survivor, you went and did accountancy, or did a BCom.
Tshidi, I hope your story is a little more exciting than that of Stephen.
I guess my story is exciting indeed. I like challenges, and at that time, we had very few women CAs, and I said to myself, I am going to go for it and break this environment. So that was my first move in terms of moving into accounting. But the second one is that I happen to know myself quite well in terms of knowing my ability in the numeracy skills. And I said, that's what I'm going to go for. And thirdly was really passion. I was really passionate with the profession.
Well, Shameel, Stephen said he wasn't clever enough to be a doctor. Did you have that same problem?
Well, mine was more, through school I actually enjoyed accounting, and when I finished school, there really wasn't an option to go to university full-time. So I decided, because I had to start working and help in the house, so I started doing my articles straight away and my BCom degree. So it was one of the few options that gave me the opportunity to immediately start working and studying my degree, but I did love accounting. So,
well, from somebody who loves accounting, Ivan, did you have the same passion?
No, I didn't actually. So my passion was about going into business and starting a business, and I realized that if I was going to build a business and start a business, I'd have some form of financial background. And similar to Shameel, I went directly into it part-time, so started studying and articled immediately. And it was,
but you really just automated what you studied.
Well, yeah, kind of. And
so you made a career out of it.
Well, I'm sitting in front of my client base, so this is great.
I see now why you accepted the invitation. How much of your success do you attribute to accounting, Stephen?
Look, I think it gives you a very good background. It gives you a very good understanding of financials. I think the training in South Africa is excellent, and that the kind of detail we were taught to go into as South Africans in our build-up of our careers gave us a lot of knowledge about how things work, how businesses work, what numbers mean, and how, you know, I think we've got an excellent training system in South Africa. In fact, accountants from other jurisdictions, they love South African accountants because they're so good at the numbers side. The others are, you know, they train first in some kind of arts degree, and then they do accounting, and they do a crash course in accounting while they do articles, and I find that they don't come out, they may be better philosophically and have a wider view of life than our fellas, but we are much better at the numbers. So.
What do you learn from accounting? What disciplines have you taken forward into your career?
I think what I've learned from accounting is that it exposed me to various industries, and also it exposed me to a variety of or characteristics of people, because you engage and interact in a number of businesses, a number of industries. But also when I moved to a management consulting part of our business, I was then able to use both my combination of being a CA, but also at the same time being a psychologist. So that combination worked very well for me in business transformation projects, or major projects as we call them.
Ivan, we got the impression you didn't enjoy the accounting route. Is that wrong?
Well, I enjoyed what I studied up to a point in time. But certainly, I think being an auditor, being exposed to so many different types of businesses, created my appetite and aspiration to go into business, because you got exposed to so many different businesses. And then when I finished studying my degree, that's when I decided, well, I'm not going to write the board, and I started Softbank.
Well, a number
So
of
sorry,
people...
I mean...
A number of people in this room probably are experiencing exactly the same thing.
Well, it's a, you know, in hindsight, when you look back, with 2020 vision, it's a great discipline. It certainly is. I mean, it teaches you loads and loads of discipline throughout.
Would you be the CEO of Vodacom if you had not studied accounting?
Probably not, because I started at Vodacom as an accountant, and by the time I was 26, I was MD. So, I made a quick diversion away from accounting. But I think it really...
Sorry, you said 26. I think the room
Yeah, so I started
took a breath there.
I joined Vodacom just before my 23rd birthday. I just finished my articles, and I'm sure many of you would agree that as soon as your articles are finished, it's time to get out of there. And, because you want to earn some good bucks. And so, I joined Vodacom, and very quickly moved out of accounting. But I always found that the accounting part, understanding your numbers, was important. So I started off as an entrepreneur. So I started off trading at 7. So the accounting degree really gave me a bit more structure, I think.
Trading at 7?
Trading.
Trading,
yeah. So I had my own business from 7. I was running a factory by 12. And so
I thought I had got the numbers wrong here.
So it was, and through articles I held 4 jobs because I had to pay for my university. I used to have my day job and then my night job, and then I used to write up books for people, and I used to sell perfumes, and that's the way I paid my way through university, and then I joined Vodacom, and then quickly progressed from there. But the accounting discipline really helped me a lot in terms of understanding numbers. I always say to people that it was a ticket to the game. So it was really a good discipline and a good, if you understand your numbers, people can't bullshit you. And I think that plays a big role as well.
I know you're going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what Shameel says, is that the discipline, it gives you an understanding of what you see. I mean, I can pick up a balance sheet and I know exactly what's going on in 2 seconds, or an income statement or a set of accounts, and you can understand very quickly about that aspect of a business. Obviously, there's a whole lot of other aspects that you would have learnt in your auditing days, or your exposure to clients, or exposure to different industries. But the ability to pick something up, look at it and say, does this thing make sense or not make sense? Certainly in our industry, where we're lending money to these people all the time, has been, fundamental to actually that understanding.
And Tshidi, that is ability to assess the financial situation of a company, obviously key to what you're doing as well.
Oh yeah, it's very critical to understand your businesses that you are auditing or you are an advisor to. The understanding of the industry itself, just reading the numbers, enables you to understand what is happening in the entire industry. But I just want to come back to a point that was made by Shameel, that doing the CA profession is a ticket to get to your next business interest and not stay in the profession. I do believe that, I disagree, in the sense that staying in the profession, you do make big bucks also in the profession. So that
and you're talking your book, you know that.
So that I want to correct that you do. And secondly, if you have the passion to be an auditor to your client, Don't then move out in order to make big bucks and lose your passion, because the big bucks are not going to bring the passion if you lose it by going out of the profession.
Ivan, are you making the big bucks?
No, listen, I mean, I told you when I founded the company, it was a different level of aspiration. But once you get a company and you build it, obviously your levels of responsibility change. And I mean, you focus, for me, I deep dived into the business. And I've got to say, thank God for this profession, because if it weren't for us having all these accountants inside the organization, I mean, and certainly I know the role, the financial directors in our different operating companies, the CFOs, I understand the role they play in not only just the current business, the growth in the business. For example, pricing models. I mean, we deal with products. How do you price these products? You know, and the accountant and the accounting profession gives you that ability, to do it. So, and I know that today the profession is very different. I mean, I'm not advocating for the profession, because certainly I'm not in a position to, but it's a very different scenario to what it was when, for example, Steve finished.
Stephen, why did...
Steve, was that a long time ago?
I'm glad I didn't seat you together. Why did you decide to go the entrepreneurial route? How did you go the entrepreneurial route?
It was just by chance. I mean, I had friends that had started Investec, and I initiated. They always used to talk about, you know, we want to be a bank, we need a banking license. And something spurred in my head one day, and I wrote to a whole lot of banks and asked if they were for sale while I was still in the accounting profession. And one put up their hand and said they're for sale, and that's when I joined. So I was partly responsible for Investec getting a banking license. And I didn't really think about it. It's just something I did. So it was all fluke. It was just luck as to how I moved out of the profession for me. I mean, my father always said to me, and now you won't like what I'm saying, but said to me, you know, I don't think you should build a career in the profession. He'd been an accountant, an old-style accountant for 55 years, and his whole life was making sure that his clients paid the right amount of tax. Because in his early days, one of his clients got into trouble with the revenue authorities. And so he just concentrated on doing a job for his clients. And, he made a nice living, but he never built any kind of wealth. I think today maybe you can do a lot better in accountancy than you can do in those days. But he just encouraged me to get out, which I got out. I stayed in the profession 4 years after qualifying, and then I got out. And came here. We were 8 people, and now we're 8,000. So it did give me the background and the base to understand and help build this business.